It's 1900 in San Francisco. Word spreads of a bubonic plague outbreak in Chinatown. Black Death, the disease that killed as much as half of Europe in the 1300s, is here in the United States. National, local, and even neighborhood newspapers jump on the story. But weirdly, no one can seem to agree if it's actually happening. Depending on the newspaper you read, it could be the start of a nationwide pandemic or an elaborate hoax to destroy the economy. Sound familiar? Living through our own pandemic makes it clear. Frightening headlines, evolving evidence, and conflicting voices can make it hard to figure out what's going on and how to feel. Americans in 1900 were forced to ask the same question. How do you know who to trust? I'm Asante Bean for American Experience. Let's explore how politics and greed influenced coverage of the 1900 outbreak of the bubonic plague. Newsreaders in 1900 had plenty of reasons not to trust William Randolph Hearst's newspaper, the New York Journal. The Journal was known for its sensational headlines and loose attachment to the truth. Naturally, it pounced on the plague angle. A big story means big sales, and nothing sells like death. They dedicated the March 18th printing to all things plague, with a headline reading, "Black Plague Creeps into America." Although not much had happened yet, it predicted plague-stricken men and women rushing naked about the streets. Despite its sensational coverage, the Journal was right. There was bubonic plague in San Francisco, but it never got quite as bad as predicted. Closer to home, San Francisco's papers scrambled to downplay the threat of disease. A pandemic was bad for business, and these publications answered to powerful local leaders. Papers focused on vilifying health officials like Joseph Kinyoun, who led the hunt for the plague. One headline read, "Plague fake is part of a plot to plunder."
You have the Chronicle saying, we're going to write editorials saying that Kinyoun or anybody else from the Marine Hospital Service is just trying to pick San Francisco's pocket.
Two of the city's prominent newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle and the San Francisco Call, went a step further, agreeing at one point to stop covering the plague entirely. These editors put the city's economic stability ahead of very real health concerns. But community papers had a different perspective. The first reported case of the bubonic plague was found in Chinatown. Chinese residents were targeted by harsh restrictions, often driven more by racism than science. The newspaper Cheung-Sa Yat-po prioritized advocating for the community when covering the disease.
Ning Pun-chu and his newspaper documented what the deeply felt fears and concerns were of Chinese laborers, how they distrusted Western medical authority, how they feared what was going to happen to them from a Chinese perspective.
Chinese residents were blamed and scapegoated for the plague. Just one more incident in a long history of discrimination against Chinese immigrants in America. When doctors used animal test subjects to confirm the plague, the paper wrote, "Alas, why should Chinatown's good name depend on the life and death of a monkey? We don't know whether they are rooting for Chinatown or the monkey." Cheung-Sa Yat-po's tone changed as the situation evolved. When scientists discovered more about the disease, the paper was essential in gaining cooperation from Chinatown citizens to stop the plague in its tracks. Narratives are often set by those with the loudest voices, but your job isn't done when you pull up the first article. Consider the perspective of the author, the intended audience, and even who doesn't get talked about. With a little active reading, you'll get closer to the full story. If you liked this video, you might also like our story of how fantastical propaganda created the city of Los Angeles. And if you want to learn more about San Francisco's race to contain the bubonic plague, check out American Experience's documentary, Plague at the Golden Gate.